Hey everybody, this is Pat from Fit for an Autopsy, and you're listening to Hive magazine.
So how are we doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Good. No, thank you for having us.
Of course.
How are you feeling about the set, the Dogtooth stage?
We're ready.
You ready?
Yeah, we're ready. It's going to be
Prepared?
fun. This is, I guess, the first fest this summer thus far that we're on as late as we are.
Yeah.
So we're excited to play not in the blaring sun and
Yeah.
get out and have maybe a bit more of a nighttime crowd. We've had amazing shows thus far, huge crowds, but this is going to be cool. We're ready.
Obviously, you guys, is it 7 studio albums at this point?
Yep, 7 studio albums, 2 splits, 1 EP, and 2 singles.
Incredible.
And another one on the way.
And another one.
That's a secret.
Ooh.
We haven't even talked about it yet, but by the time this stuff hits, it'll be pretty close. So.
Yeah. Okay. But our lips are sealed. That.
Yeah, zero stress.
Yeah. So with that in mind, when it comes to constructing a set list nowadays, how do you approach that?
Well, Spotify numbers are super important. We look at streaming and we look at kind of the popularity of songs, and then we think about what we want to do.
Yeah.
So there's a good mixture of like what the fans want and what I want to play, because the truth is I still got to do the job and I got to like it.
Yeah.
So like there's a song in the set called Warfare. It's one of our mid songs popularity-wise, but it always goes over great live, and it's one of my favorite songs to play. So that'll be in the set until I decide it's not. You know what I mean? So
Awesome.
It's a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I can really see that in when I've seen you guys and when I've seen live footage of you online as well. Mm-hmm. You just exude this like energy and genuinity.
Yeah. If we feel good on stage, we do the job better.
Literally. It speaks for itself, right?
Absolutely.
So The Nothing That Is, the 7th album.
Yeah.
How's the writing process for that?
Kind of similar to the rest. We have like a really dedicated way that we write. Riffs kind of get shared from person to person, and Will Putney's our main writer, so he'll write a bunch of stuff and send it to us, and we'll listen, and then we come in and we write our bits and we do the things that we do, and drummer comes in, rewrites parts, records parts, and we all kind of have our lane. But it's easy for us because we have an original member of the band that doesn't tour with us, and that's Will Putney.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Will Putney, super sought after engineer, producer, Grammy winner, like legit musician that also happens to be in a bunch of bands and record a bunch of bands. So we have a bit of an advantage over other bands because we can write while we're touring and come home and be ready to record. Will can start recording rhythm guitars, laying things out, and we're already ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a similar process always.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
On this new album, it feels a little bit more groove forward, very hooky.
Sure.
A little bit more progressive, perhaps.
Yep.
Was that kind of intentful? Did it just come naturally?
I don't think anything we do has intent. I don't think we sit down and go, we're going to do it just like this. But I think we're all influenced by a lot of things, and I think touring and touring with bands that do things differently than us teaches us a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So like we go on tour and we can see how things translate. We can see how the crowd reacts to what we're doing. We can kind of see what works and what doesn't. And then take that back, tell Will like, hey, these things work, these things don't. And then he comes up with a formula.
Yeah.
And the plan has always been for us to do different.
Yeah.
We never want to release the same record. We never want to do the same thing over and over again because that's fucking boring.
Yeah, right.
And your band can get big quick if you do it like that, but also it's like, I don't need to be the biggest band in the world. I want to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
So let's do cool shit together. You know?
And it needs to retain the soul and passion of the members, right?
And it also attracts a wider fan base.
Yeah.
Like we can go on tour with Exodus, we could go on tour with Meshuggah, we go on tour with Gojira, we could go out with any of those bands, and then we can go out with Cannibal Corpse, and we could go out with, like fucking Decapitated or Cattle Decap or like any of these bands that are a little more underground and a little more gritty. We could do all of it.
Yeah.
The Lorna Shores to the, Slayers and then all the in between, because we have songs that translate into those worlds.
Yeah.
Because we don't write the same song over and over again.
Absolutely. And you can really hear that with each album as well. Even just listening to one album, there's so many influences and different sounds weaved through that come together organically.
Yeah. Everybody likes pizza, but nobody wants to eat the same pizza every day.
Right? Yeah. As you've already kind of touched upon, actually, you're a band with a lot of very strong musical voices,
Yeah.
a lot of great songwriters. How do you keep the songwriting process cohesive without dulling any one person's creative edge?
I would say the most important part is a lot of bands will write the songs, and then a lot of bands will write for the record. You kind of got to just find the happy medium.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's this thing that happens when you're in the studio. If the song becomes more important than the album, then your album's going to kind of be boring or fall apart, and it's going to have a great couple of songs on it. So you have to think about how the record works. You have to think about writing the record like it's an actual song. So like there should be peaks and valleys. Like if you listen to our records, the song structures are as important as the order of the songs on the record. So there's like a big up and down, and we always release the record with like something that's very different and melodic. Like we've been doing that for the past few records, and it works for us. It makes the record feel like one big song. So when you can do that, that to me is the key to writing a good record. You know, it's great to write a couple of good songs, but if you can write a whole album's worth of songs and make the record feel like one track, you've nailed it. You know?
Absolutely, I agree. And those troughs, in the best way possible, really accentuate those really brutal, crushing moments on the album.
I mean, this record opens heavy, and it closes like, you know, comes in like a lion, closes like a lamb kind of thing. Because the end of the record's got like this whole like melodic piano thing. So it really starts here, comes down, goes back up, comes down, and then we let you off the hook. You know, that's kind of like the move. It
feels super theatrical as well, and like larger than life.
Yeah, listening to that record, sometimes I forget I play in the band. Like it's that fun for me.
That's really cool to hear as well. Going back to the early days of the band, was there anywhere, like any music spaces, whether that be music venues, record shops, that enabled you guys to feel supported in those early days?
So many. I mean, that's like the crazy thing about Fit is like, as long as I can remember, we've always had a good rapport with clubs, agencies. Like, we've never felt like the venues we played and the people we played with were ever trying to hold us back from doing our job. I mean, there were a couple bands we went on tour with that maybe stunk a little bit, didn't give us the respect that maybe we deserved at the time. But I think that comes with time too, and longevity. But there's tons of them. A lot of Live Nation venues have been really great to us.
Okay.
A lot of, especially now, like the Summit Theater in Denver is really great. Observatory in California, they're in like Orange County, California. They've been really great to us. I mean, there's a fucking list. Irving Plaza recently in New York City was great. Over here, I think the first time I felt seriously treated like a band was at Underworld. We sold out Underworld, and they were like all about it, took great care of us. You know, so we've gotten a lot of really good treatment. We're pretty lucky in that sense.
Do you remember what year that was you played Underworld?
Oh, I can't remember. I think it was a headliner. We were out with Venom Prison.
Oh, great band.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a few years back.
Cool. Touching upon the kind of visual side of the band, there's been a clear evolution with like the visual stuff, like the artwork for the band. How involved are you guys in the process of
Extremely involved. Will and I are very, very hands-on when it comes to Fit for an Autopsy. We only work with people that we vet and like really enjoy. I don't care to work with people that don't understand the concept of the band. And all of our records, from the Great Collapse on, have been this guy, Adam Burke, Nightjar Illustrations is his Instagram, and he's done a ton of work with us, and he's just perfect for what we do. Not to say that we wouldn't, venture into working with somebody else, but he just kind of gets it. And he puts it together in a way. Our album covers are like art-filled and like a little different than a lot of bands in our genre, which I like.
It stands out, absolutely.
But it's definitely we're involved in the creative process from start to finish, and Will is extremely hands-on. You know, I learn a lot from him. So.
Yeah, awesome. Are there any upcoming bands that you want to give a little shout out for?
Yeah. I think up and coming bands that we feel like are in our world. Orbit Culture is incredible. There's a band called Great American Ghost from the States that we love a lot. Those guys are really, really cool. We just did a tour with a band called Based. They're from Europe, and they're fucking incredible. There's a lot of good music happening right now. But yeah, that's a good little pick. I think those 3 bands. Orbit Culture is incredible. If you don't know about them, you're sleeping on a really good band. But I think all 3 of those bands, Great American Ghost and that Based band, three great bands to check out.
Sweet. And then let's just wrap things up before we go. What's next for Fit for an Autopsy? What's in the works?
Well, we're gonna finish up. I think we have like 10 or little more shows left here. We have tomorrow. We play in London at what's it called? What's the name of that? The Dome. And then finish these festivals, and then we take a couple of months off, and then we come back to Europe, starting in the UK. It's Decapitated, Fit for an Autopsy, Hatebreed, and Killswitch Engage. And then Hatebreed drops off after Ireland. They only do the UK, and we move into the direct support for the whole EU side. So it's like 3 weeks, and then we have a few weeks off, and then 3 weeks in the EU. So
well, I'll absolutely be there.
Awesome. Great.
Amazing. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having us. I appreciate you very much.
Appreciate you
nice
too.
to meet you.